Okay, so this first part is about just this idea of like a grief signature. So basically, just how you grieve. Um, so, from your experience, what does your grief actually look and feel like? So, do you become like really emotional? Do you get numb and detached? Do you withdraw, or do you seek company? Do you have any?
So is this like surrounding death specifically or like more general?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Let's see. I definitely I feel like I kind of go through cycles of more active, just like especially when it's like someone close to me, like when my grandma died very recently. I had an aunt die within the past week,
Oh,
like 2 days
I'm sorry.
ago. Yeah. And so with that one, like for example, like I don't know, I've been a little bummed out I didn't get to like see her more because like she's the aunt that I've interacted with like the least out of all of them.
Yeah.
Um, and so I've just like heard some kind of stories from my mom, and it's like, I don't know, it would have been cool if we got to spend more time together.
Yeah.
Same with when I had a cousin who seems like very similar to like me in a lot of ways, and he like killed himself a couple years back,
Mhm.
and it's just like it felt like really bad of it's like one, like he was cool as hell. I would have loved to just talk more, and like I'm also like, I don't know, it's a lot of the things that he was dealing with like leading up to um him committing suicide was like stuff I had struggled with as well. And so it's like, if I don't know, it's like a part of me is like, I hope there's like some more like camaraderie, or like,
Mhm.
sorry, I think I like could provide like some of that like maybe would like make him feel better, and
So
like
this,
not
I'm
so.
about to cut you off, but this is more like your like immediate reaction. Like how do you feel like? Because we will get to that in a minute.
Okay.
Uh, so just like
Yeah. So I guess like
like
kind of like not feeling a little sad that I like I would have loved to spend more time with people whenever it's just like, okay, like I guess
mhm,
there isn't any anymore. Um and so I'll go between like cycles of just like fucking like crying and just being really sad about it, and thinking like, what if like, this one thing or this other thing that could have happened. Um and then also just like points where like it's just not really on my mind, or like I feel very
mhm.
numb to it, and then I'll kind of like go between those. Um
Okay,
so I
yeah,
guess like
that's
very very intense or like nothing, I guess is what it is a lot of the time.
yeah. Uh, do you have any particular coping mechanisms? Do you like overeat? Do you overwork? Do you just curl up into a
Uh
ball?
let's see. I mean, I do that one a lot. That's one of
Okay.
my most used coping mechanisms.
Hmm.
If I'm like especially invested in like a like I don't know, just like some like piece of media or something I'm just like doing on my own, it's like a lot of the time I'll kind of just go into doing that, where it's like it's not quite being in a hole, it's like in a self-care hole kind of. Um uh where it's like, yeah, I don't know, it's I feel like with when I do that kind of stuff, it can be like nice quality time that really helps, versus
Okay.
like sometimes when I'm doing that, it's just like, here's just me doing nothing and feeling bad about it, and it's
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to tell which one of those I'm in, I guess, until like after the fact and I have some clarity on it.
Mhm. So did you learn like did you pick up your grief signature from anyone? Like, is there anyone that you think your the way that you grieve is like not necessarily that you intentionally copied them, but just that you think that it
Yeah,
mirrors the
okay.
way that they
Well,
are?
I haven't really thought about that before. I definitely see some of like how my mom processes grief in how I
Hmm.
do. Especially around the just kind of like shutting down, being a little more numb, just like kind of uh being in the wasting away zone. Um
Hmm.
it's I don't know. It's I notice we act like fairly similar
Okay.
um around like whenever like we have a family circumstance, whether it be like death or illness or just like something scary happened, like somebody got in an accident. Um
Yeah.
and so definitely some of her, definitely like some of my sister, because we are identical twins and we grew up uh, basically attached to each other all the time.
Hmm.
And so it just like like a lot of our not just like around grief, but just like everything have been kind of shaped very, very similarly because
Yeah.
it's always like, hey, like something happened is like she knows and like we're just kind of dealing with it in a similar way and being able to talk through it and stuff.
Yeah. Uh, so do you feel like the way that you grieve, how do you think it compares to like what might be defined as like a normal way to grieve?
Um, so
So,
I
or like a popular way, like the five stages of grief.
uh-huh.
Like, how do you think it would
Um,
compare to, or
yeah, I
that
don't know
people
if
would
I
view it as
really
comparing?
do that. Because I mean, I'm sure I do to some extent. I don't know how
Hmm.
much of a like an actual like basis in reality versus like a myth all of that is.
So
But
I
it's
am
like
asking
especially
you
around
how you,
like okay.
I'm asking how you think yours compares to that because I will tell you it's bullshit. But I'm asking
Okay.
how you think it compares to like popular concepts of grief. You're going in
Yeah.
such a good direction, but you are like, you're basically going ahead of me, which is great. But
Okay, so do you
so
want
just
me to
like
talk specifically about the five stages or just like
just
how
like
I feel like it is compared to the average or
how you
like
think yours is compared to like popular ideas, basically.
yeah. Okay, so I occasionally, especially there is one death that I felt like really should have like hit me really hard and like instead of like crying that much at all, like I just felt like completely numb like the whole time. Meanwhile, like my mom was like doing like what felt more like the correct thing and like
Hmm.
I could tell she was like super affected by it and she was like crying like all the time and then like was I could comfort her in that like I could like respond like with a measured emotional response to what she was doing. But it's like I feel like like okay, number one, because I was like pretty numb, is like I don't feel like those reactions were like what she probably needed or wanted at that time.
Hmm.
Um and I just kind of I don't know. I've been upset at myself before for like not responding in like the appropriate way, especially around like things that are sad or um
Hmm.
where it's like why aren't I feeling this? I feel like I should, but and then I just kind of get like upset at myself rather than process my emotions in a more healthy way. But that hasn't happened in a while, thankfully. But there was a long time where that was just like my response to everything, and it's just like there's something wrong with my brain. Like this is not good.
uh, yeah, no, that's a pretty normal response to have like to have and then to feel like it's different than it should be,
Yeah.
basically.
Which
Uh,
okay, going like slightly more on that if we have the time.
can we do
Um,
that uh, after the interview?
okay.
Just because I like what you
Yeah,
were saying, but I want to get to the interview uh,
sure.
because I think that this is something we can talk about for a long time.
Okay.
Uh, okay. So have you ever felt, so this the second section is about disenfranchised grief. So just like grieving that you feel is like you're being judged if you grieve, or
Hmm.
it's just like misunderstood to grieve for this particular thing. So have you ever felt that you've been like that you're unable to grieve because you feel like you would be judged for doing so?
Like if I were to be like emotionally vulnerable and uh
Just like however it is that you grieve, you feel
express,
like you can't do that.
yeah. I feel like the thing that like we were just talking about, it's more like my responses and what I feel like should be the norm than like I guess that's something that people are like implicitly putting on me to some extent. It's not just like this
Mhm,
completely internal thing. It's
mhm.
seeing people around me and how they process it and then being like, well, clearly I should be more like that.
So
Um,
I mean more like this isn't about like a normal grief. This is like if so for example when your cousin committed suicide, that's
uh,
it's pretty normal for people to not feel like they can grieve for something like that, especially if they have like a religious family, or like losing a pet, where it's like you feel like you aren't allowed to grieve at the same level as if you had
mhm.
lost like a cousin. But
Um, Not in so I feel like earlier in my life I didn't really have like a whole lot of those situations other than like some family deaths I was too early to really process fully. But like
mhm,
since being an adult, I have done my best to surround myself with people who will not make me feel that way. Like I'm very much a chosen and like found family instead of just like they're your
mhm,
blood relatives. And
yeah,
so like that side of the family that like all of these family deaths I've been talking about have been on my mom's side is because
mhm,
they're all very wonderful, empathetic, like have a lot of the same kind of uh values and kind of like patterns, I guess, for how
mhm,
they respond to things as I do.
yeah,
Um and I feel like with something that important, like if someone isn't letting like if you I don't know, if I felt people around me like having like judgy or like come on, like you're not allowed to grieve like reactions to what I was doing, I would just be like, well fuck you. Like why are you even in my life if you're gonna be
uh-huh,
an asshole about it? I'm I feel pretty strongly about that. And especially like whenever people are feeling intense emotions.
yeah,
It's it's good for people around you to be able to help you deal with
mhm,
them.
yeah. So then I think it's safe to say that you have not done that to someone else. Or can you remember a time you did?
I
Maybe like
hope not.
before, like maybe when you were very young and like didn't understand like someone else's grief, like before you.
That would be kind of hard to say because it's
Okay.
yeah, the only real major like experience like that I had before I was an adult was like my grandpa died. That was like I'm still to this day like damn I really wish I got to like talk to him more and like meet him as an adult. That would be really cool. But like I was so young at that point that it's like I don't really know like what the proper response was or necessarily like how I came off like it's not really something I remember from that. So
Mhm.
I
Uh,
sure fucking hope I've not reacted in that way. But I don't know. I'm sure I've done stuff to like some extent at least. Um
yeah. Uh, yeah, probably before, like you said, like before you were old enough to quote unquote know better, or to
yeah.
just be more empathetic to other
Yeah.
people's
'Cause yeah,
griefs.
there was a while where I was not quite as empathetic as I am now. And so
Mhm.
I'm sure I had some of those moments, but I've kind of blocked them out of my brain a little bit of just like
Yeah, that's fair. I've done the same thing. Um, So, uh, so then do you think that there is a correct way to grieve? Do you think that there is such a thing?
Uh, no. I mean,
Okay, that's that. Yep,
okay, is
that.
there a wrong way to grieve? I guess would be like is like it feels like I don't know. I think there are definitely like healthier ways to react to it, but like when you're in that kind of situation, it's really hard to control those.
Mm,
And so like if you fall into kind of unhealthy patterns when you're around grief, then it's like I think that's something that like the people around you can like work to help lift you up and not and like help guide you towards a more healthy way of doing it, but I don't think it's necessarily wrong.
yeah.
Um
So then it sounds like your answer to the next question is pretty easy with you, because the next question is what might a more compassionate and realistic approach to others' grief be? And it just sounds like you kind of answered that with like just
Yeah, I mean,
kind of.
especially like, yeah, it's I'm a big proponent of like if you have like the emotional energy to deal with something, um, then I feel like it's good to try and like help people around you who might not have that. But like if you're just in like the horrible, I don't want to fucking do anything, this is awful zone, then
Mm,
like it's totally fair to need to express that in whatever way you can.
mm,
And so yeah, definitely like whenever I have the, because I mean sometimes like around like grieving and like other kinds of situations, like I am just like I want to help the people around me, but like I don't have the energy. I have too much of my own stuff I'm dealing with, and if I don't do that, then like I'm not even gonna be able to help other people.
yeah,
So there's definitely a balance to be found there, but I think it's generally a good thing.
yeah, yeah. That is fair.